This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, Agen Erev Shabbos Rabbi, as we prepare for Parshas Lecha, and we've been learning the series on the Haftorah. So this is already our third Haftorah that we're doing, and the Haftorah this week, Lama Soymar Yaakov from the Navi Yeshaya, Parak Mem Chav Zayin till Mem Aleph Tez Zayin. And what is the connection between this Haftorah and the Parsha? So the Sefer Chazayin David points out that we have the pasuk Mi Heir Mi Mizrach, Mi Heir Mi Mizrach, Sadek Yikrayel Ragloi, Yitain Lefanav Goyim Umlachim Yard, Yitain Kafar Charboi, Kekash Nidav Kashtoi. That the pasuk says, who aroused from the east righteousness, and the pasuk says he will make like dust his sword, like blown straw his bow. This is a reference to the war of Avram Avinu against the four kings, where miraculously Avram Avinu's dust turned to swords and straw turned to an arrow. Okay, so that is the connection between the Haftorah and the Parsha. But what we're going to do is examine a number of very interesting psukim in the Haftorah and learn some mystical secrets today, courtesy of the Ben Ish Chai and, of course, Sadam Hussein. So today's shiur is really courtesy of the great dictator, the evil dictator, Sadam Hussein. We got to give credit where credit is due, and I'm going to explain what I mean. There's a pasuk in Yeshaya, Parak Memal, pasuk Daled, Mifa'al v'yasa kairei hadoros meroish ani adonai rishon v'yes acharonim anihu. I, God, am first, and with the last, I am Him. So again, here we often have where the Rebbe Shem is referred to Ani and Hay. This is something that we see in this pasuk. Let's begin by quoting from the Sefer Shari Oira. Shari Oira is one of the classic Sefer Kabbalah, actually, written by Rabbi Yosef Gektilia, and he says a very important explanation on the pasuk in Tehillim. Asagevehu ki yadash shemi yikraini ve'enehu. I will raise you up because you know my name. You will call out to me and I will answer. You know, some people have a custom that on Rosh Chodesh they have in mind the Tseiruf of the Yud Kei Vav Kei relevant to that month. And the Bnei Yissaschar says the source of that custom really comes from this pasuk. Because the pasuk says, Asagevehu, God says, I will raise you up, not ki yazkir shemi, because you said my name, but rather ki yadashmi, if you understand my name. Lo yamar hakasav asagaveo ki yazkir shemi, ela asagaveo ki yadashmi. Hayediya hi ha'ikar. The main thing is not the tefillah, is the understanding the words, what God's name means. If you understand the meaning of the name of Hashem, v'achar kach yikra'ini v'eneo, and then you call out and Hashem will answer you. Koloimar, kisheyitztorech ledaber, when a person needs to speak, v'yiskavein ba'oisai Hashem, and you have in mind that name, sha'oisai hadavar shehu tzarech taloi bai, that the thing that you need is dependent on it, az eneo, then Hashem will answer you. Okay, so from here we see that when a person davens, it's better if he's aware of the meaning of the particular name of Hashem that is invoked at that time. Well, I want to tell you a few secrets today, and one of them comes from the Sefer Birchas Chaim. So it's an interesting thing. I had known that the Ben Ish Chai wrote a Sefer on the Haftorahs. I saw it many years ago, and this year when I was thinking about giving a shiur on the Haftorahs, I figured I'd get my hands on it. And I went to a lot of stores, it wasn't available. I want to thank my good friend in Norfolk, Virginia, Gedalia Schwartz. I think within 1 hour, he got it and I had it in my possessions. You know, he found it and he Ubered it to me. It was in my hands within an hour, something like that. You know, very soon after. It was out of print for a year. And what's really remarkable about the Sefer Birchas Chaim is it had been published previously, and it was unclear where it was published from. Like, what did they use as a basis to publish it? Was it the Ben Ish Chai's original notes? Because there were a lot of mistakes in it. Clearly, they needed to get their hands on the original manuscript of the Birchas Chaim. So, thanks to the American government and George W., the American government decided to invade Iraq. As an introduction to that, Sadam Hussein, as terrible of a dictator as he was a very smart man. And he figured he would make a bloody fortune if he would gather all the Jewish manuscripts in Baghdad and bring it to his central palace and keep it in storage, and one day sell it for a hefty price. So he gathered whatever manuscripts of the Ben Ish Chai he could get his hands on and stowed them away in the basement of his palace in Iraq. By the way, when you're davening, Maranon, Rabbanon, Di Bavel, which rabbis in Bavel are you davening for exactly? I'm not familiar with any Rabbanim who left my yeshiva, got tzniach my yeshiva, became rabbis in Bavel. In Chavetz Chaim they go out of town, but they ain't going to Bavel. The answer is you have in mind the chaplain of the American army when they invaded Iraq. So all the tefillos of Yom Kippur that Klal Yisrael had been saying for thousands of years, davening for Iraqi Rabbanim, finally came to fruition. Why? Listen to what happened. Now I had a sefer previously, actually my friend Gedalia got me this sefer called Birchas Hareach. These were manuscripts they found in an Iraqi intelligence agency after the war against Iraq, but I never knew the full story. Stories like this. Sadam Hussein gathered whatever manuscripts of Rabbanon he could get his hands on, especially the Ben Ish Chai. The American army bombed his palace. The bomb hit the water pipes. The water pipes exploded. The entire basement was flooded. When the American army got into his palace, they see manuscripts. So the Jewish soldiers in the American army took all Jewish manuscripts and they put it outside to dry in the sun. Then they made two piles of them, the Hebrew ones and the Arabic ones. The Ben Ish Chai's shorthand handwriting looks awfully similar to Arabic, and therefore they put all the manuscripts of the Ben Ish Chai in the wrong pile. And they laid there for a number of years until somebody by the name of Nadav Arinos of Yeshivas Kav HaChaim realized that they put it in the wrong pile, and they realized that what they had was the original manuscript of Birchas Chaim, 2 volumes on the Haftorah and the Ben Ish Chai, and now we have it today. So we thank Sadam Hussein for today's shiur. He's probably not in a good place right now, but who knows. Okay, anyway, let's begin with the Kedushas Levi. Now the Ben Ish Chai often quotes Sifrei Chasidus, which is also a very interesting concept, to have a Svardik Gadol quoting Chasidish Svarim. But he quotes the Kedushas Levi. Rabbi Levi Yitzchak of Barditchev in Parsha Shemais, there's a pasuk in Malachi, Ki ani Hashem, for I am the Lord, Lo shanisi, I do not change, V'atem b'nei Yaakov, and you b'nei Yaakov, Lo chelisem, I will not destroy you. Says the Kedushas Levi on the pasuk, Vayomer, Hashem says, you know what my name is? Ekya Asher Ekya. Why is God's name Yud Kei Vav Kei? You ever wonder? What kind of name is that? Yud, and then a Hey, and then a Vav, and then a Hey. What kind of name is that? The Yud Kei Vav Kei are the 3 most unique letters in the Hebrew alphabet. How's that? Take a base. Double a base. What do you get when you double a base? No, this is mamish, not calculus. What do you do when you double a base? 4. Unbelievable. And what do you do when you double a 4?
8.
And when you double an 8?
16.
Okay, so every time you double it, the last digit changes. Every time you double the letter, the last digit changes. From 2 to 4 to 8 to 16 to 32 to 64 to 120. Yeah, it keeps on changing. Let's take a 3. Double a 3. 3 to 9. 81, right? Or you keep on adding.
Squaring it.
Yeah, you're squaring it. Yeah, 3 times 3 is 9. Daled, 4 times 4, 16. However, take the letter Hey. 5 times 5, 25. You didn't change the last decimal. 25 times 25, 625. You could times it from today until doomsday. The last digit will always be 5. Vav. 6 times 6, 36. 36 times 36. The last digit will always be 6. What is it called? Ad infinitum. How did you say it? Ad infinitum. Take the Yud, 10.
0.
The 0 doesn't count. So 10 times 10, 100 times 100. It's always going to be the same. It's always going to be a decimal of 10. The only 3 letters of the only 3 numerals that will never change as you square them are the Hey, the Vav, and the Yud. Therefore, God's name is Yud Kei Vav Kei, indicating God is unchanging, unbending, unaffected by anything that occurs. Therefore, God's name is Yud Kei Vav Kei. This is the meaning of the pasuk. Look at number 4. Ki ani Hashem, I am the Lord. Lo shanisi, I never change. That's the remez. I am the Lord. I never change. Says the Ben Ish Chai in the Birchas Chaim on this pasuk. Mi fa'al v'asa koirei hadoros meirosh ani rishayin. I'm first and I'm last. What does that mean, I'm first and I'm last? I'm first and you could double me and square me again and again and again and again, and whatever is last is also first. It never changes. That's the meaning of this pasuk in this week's Haftorah. Says the Ben Ish Chai, Nira lirmois b'siyata l'shma ki yadua sheYisrael. Okay, we know that there's a connection between the 600,000 core Jews and the 600,000 Oisiyos HaTorah. That's why Yisrael, the Pnei Yeshua brings down in Masechta Kedushin on Daf Lamed, Yisrael stands for what? What does Yisrael stand for? Yesh Shishim Riboy Oisiyos La Torah. We also know what the Kedushas Levi says on the pasuk Ekya Asher Ekya, that God, the letters of God's name are never changing. The Beis changes, the Gimel changes, the Dalet changes. Not the Hey, not the Vav, and not the Yud. That's what it means, Ani Hashem lo shanisi. So if you go 7 lines from the bottom in the second column, V'hinei amarti, says the Birchas Chaim, the Ben Ish Chai, Ki bazen nirmaz, this alludes, Ki Hashem Yisbarach, that God Almighty, Shehu Rishon, Hinehu Achroin. U'kamay shenemar, Ani Rishon v'ani Achroin. That's what it means. I am first and I am last in Malachi. Yan ki oisa Rishon, Hu yia oisa Achroin, b'riba yamispar. This is what it means. Kishimcha kein tehilosecha. Your name indicates your praise. When do we say Kishimcha kein tehilosecha? In the Sana Toikef. Kishimcha kein tehilosecha. Yeah? So anyway, what does it mean? God's name is like His praise. The same way His name, it begins and ends the same. God too is also Rishon, and He is also Achroin. This is the meaning of the pasuk. Mi pa'al va'asa koirei hadoros meirosh. Meirosh is Rashi Tevos min shishim riboy oisiyos, from the 600,000 letters. Ani Hashem Rishon, the Asachroinim anihu. V'hainu ki oisiyos shem havaya baruch hu yo'idu. The oisiyos of the Yud Kei Vav Kei testify ki ani Rishon. V'gam es achroinim anihu, and I am last as well. Meaning, from the name of Hashem, that is meir, that God is not only first, but God is last also. Okay, that's the first offering for today. Offering number 2. Another pasuk in the Haftorah. Asher hechazakticha miktza'os haaretz v'me'atzileha karasicha v'oimar lecha Avdi ata b'charticha v'lo mi'asticha Asher hechazakticha, I grabbed you miktzos haaretz, from the ends of the earth. Ume'atzileha karasicha, and from the delicate ones I called you, and I said, you are my servant, I have chosen you, I have not despised you. There's a famous comment from Rav Shamshin Me'ashtapoli on the pasuk in Yeshaya, Mikinaf haaretz zmiros shamanu. From the ends of the earth I heard song. What's the song? Tzvi latzadik, the desire to the righteous. By the way, the Ar Chaim HaKadosh says, if you look in Parak Shira, everything in this world sings Shira except for the Aretz. The Aretz doesn't sing Shira. Why? Because the mouth of the earth was stuffed up. The mouth of the earth was stuffed up. When was the mouth of the earth stuffed up? The mouth of the earth was stuffed up when it swallowed the blood of Hevel. So it said, Arura ha'adama ba'avarecha, that the ground was cursed because it swallowed the blood of Hevel. So therefore, since the mouth of the earth was stuffed up, the earth cannot sing Shira HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's why the pasuk says, Mikinaf haaretz miros shamanu. From the ends of the earth, we hear Shira. We know there's a Gemara Megillah, Daf Beis Amud Beis. What does the Gemara say? Menatzpach tsoifrim amram. Menatzpach, the the Nevi'im said. The Nevi'im said Menatzpach, the end of letters. What does it mean, the end of letters? The letter final Mem, the final Nun, the final Tzadi, the final Pei, the final Chaf. The Nevi'im said. The truth is, they say over the name of the Gra, that Menatzpach is a Rashi Tevos for all the halachas that Moshe Rabbeinu didn't know. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't know what to do with the B'nai Slavchad, right? So that's the Tzadi. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't know the halacha of Pesach Sheni, that's the Pei. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't know what to do with the Mekaishesh, that's the Mem. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't know what to do with Kazbi Bastsur, that's the Chaf. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't know what to do with on another occasion, and that's the Nun, right? So those are, but that's what the Vilna Gaon says. What? So we'll come to it. The Pirkei Rabbi Lezer says that actually the Menatzpach represents the letters of Geula. The 5 letters of Geula correspond to the 5 enda letters, the 5 letters that are doubled, the Oisios Kfelos, or the Oisios Sophios, are the letters of Geula. Rabbi Lezer Omer, Chamesh Oisios Shenichbalu Ba'Torah Ba'Oisios Kulam B'Sod HaGeula. The 5 letters that are doubled in the Torah are the secret of the Geula. The letter Chaf, number 9. The letter Chaf, Avram Avinu was redeemed with. You say, what? When was Avram Avinu ever redeemed? Vayomer Hashem el Avram, Lech Lecha, I'm saving you from Ur Kasdim. That was the Geula of Avraham Avinu. That was Geula. Boy Nigal Avraham Avinu Me'Ur Kasdim Shenemar Lech Lecha Me'artzecha. Okay? You got it? The Chaf. Was that clear? Mem Yitzchak was redeemed from the Plishtim. Shenemar Lech Mei Ima Nu Ki Atzamta Mi Me Nu Mi'oid. You got it?
We get the picture.
Nun. Yaakov was redeemed from Esav. Shenemar Hatzilei Ni Na Miyad Achi Miyad Esav. Pei, we were redeemed from Mitzrayim. Shenemar Pakoid Pakadati Eschem. And what about the Tzadi? The future Geula will be with the Tzadi. By Asa HaKadosh Baruch Hu Ligol Es Yisrael B'Seif Malchus Revius V'loimer Lahem Tzemach Tzimachti Lachem Shenemar Hine Ish Tzemach Shemai Umitachtav Yitzmach Uvanas Heichal Hashem. So the final Geula will happen with which letter? The letter Tzadi. Okay. Be it as it may, the final Geula will come with the letter Tzadi. The Chida in the Midbar Kedemos brings down this medrash that the 5 letters of the 5 double letters are represent Geula, brought in the Pirkei Rabbi Lezer. Says Reb Shamshin Mashtapoli, this is what it means. Mikenaf haaretz zmirais shamanu. We already heard from the letters Mikenaf, song. Mem we already heard, Yitzchak. Kaf we already heard, the Geula of Avram. Nun we already heard, the Geula of... No?
Which one?
Nun we already heard, the Geula of Yaakov. Pei we already heard, the Geula of Mitzrayim. So, Mikenaf, Haaretz, from the letters Mem, Chav, Nun, Pei, Zmir, Shvan, we heard good tidings. But Tzvi Lat Tzadik, we still await and we hope for the Geula of the letter Tzadi, which is the final Geula. A beautiful pshat from Mishan Shemet Tzipoli. Again, Mikenaf Haaretz, the letters Mem, Chaf, Nun, Pei, that we already heard, Zmiro Shamanu. But we're still awaiting the Geula of Tzvi Lat Tzadik. Okay, that is what is brought in the Midbar Kedemos of the Chida. By the way, others say that the letters Menatzpach represent the 5 koichos of Din, and each one of the Avos was Masak in one of them. And by the way, the Kedushas Levi, Rabbi Yitzchak of Arditchev, also brings the same tradition that we have from the Pirkei Rabbi Lezer, that the 5 letters of Menatzpach are the 5 letters of Geula. 4 of them we've experienced, and 1 of them we still await. Comes the Ben Ish Chai in the Sefer Berchas Chaim, and he says this whole tradition is alluded to in this week's Parasha, or Parsha, or however you want to pronounce it. The pasuk says, "Asher hechazakticha I grabbed you mikatzos haaretz. Says the Ben Ish Chai Nira Lermois Ki Hageulo Asida Tia Ba'is Tzadi de Menatzbach Ukumaisha Amar Rabbi Seinozal. That's how the Rab Shamshin Ma'ashapoli explains the pasuk Mikanaf Haaretz Miras Shamanu. Now we know that the strengthening of Yaakov will be primarily in the Gula Achroina from the letter Tzadi. Therefore it says Asher Hechzakticha Mikatzos Haaretz, meaning I will grab you from the edge of the word Haaretz. What's the edge of Haaretz? Not the newspaper Haaretz. From the edge of Haaretz, the Tzadi, meaning La'asalavai, the Gula will happen with the Ois Tzadi. By the way, the Ben Ish Chai in his commentary to the Haftorah repeats this idea in the Haftorah of Parsha Shemais, the Navi Yecheskel. Now this, it's interesting. Anybody know what is the Haftorah of Parsha Shemais? Haba, very good. Habaim Yashreish Yaakov. Now where does it say that? It's Yeshaya Chav Zayin. Now the Sfardim have a completely different Haftorah. Yeah? Not Nusach Svard. They read what? Divrei Yirmiyah, which is the first Haftarah of the 3 weeks, no? Sfardim, they start these things early. Elul, they start in the beginning. They get going early. However, you should know that not all Sfardim do that. Iraqi Sfardim, Minhag Bavel is Talain and Yemen and Tunis and Jurba and Lob, and the Rambam writes. So this is real Minhag Sfardim, is Talain from Yecheskel. They learn from Yecheskel Tezayin, Vayidavar Hashem Elai Le'moyer. Okay, so if you want to be a real Sfardi, you need to get this sefer. Okay, but anyway, the Haftarah that they laid in Baghdad has a pasuk like this: Vata'adi Zahav. And this, if you'd ask me, this Haftarah makes the most sense because these are the psukim that we say in the Haggadah. We say Revava Kitzamach Hasada Nesatich. You were ruddy like the flourishing like the herbs of the field. Vaterbi, vatigdali, vatavoy, ba'adi adoyim, shadayim nachaynu, sarich tzimech, vat erim ve'eria. And then the Haftarah ends like this: Vatadi zahav v'chesef, u'mabushech sheish v'meshi v'rikma soila shudvash v'shemen achot, vatifi b'ma'oid ma'oid. Ma'oid, what's the gematria of ma'oid?
45.
And what's 45? What's ma'oid? 90. What's 90? Amen is 91. What's Tzadi? What's 90? Tzadik! So the Ben Ish Chai writes in the Haftarah V'Cheskel, V'atadi zav v'cheskel v'ma'bushech sheish v'meshi v'rikma soila sh'vashem achad v'atifi ma'oid b'ma'oid ma'oid. Says the Ben Ish Chai, ma'oid is a gematria, is a remez to the Tzadi. That is a tikkun hayesod, which is Tzadi. And that's the final letter of the Menatzbach that we're still waiting for, because Mikinaf ha'aretz Zemiros Shamanu. However, we are still awaiting who? What are we waiting for? Tzvi Latzadik. Who are we waiting? The Melech HaMashiach. Melech is Gematria Nu, what?
90.
Tzadi, the Tzadi. Melech is 90. Melech is 90. That's what we're waiting for, the Melech HaMashiach. And therefore, this week, we say we had a beautiful season of Yom Naram, but we're still waiting for the Geula, Mikanaf Haaretz, Zmira Shamanu. So Rebbe Hashem says, don't worry, soon is going to come the Yom Tov of Chanukah. The Gemara says that just like Lam Natseach Ala Yelas HaShachar Mizmar LaDavid, just like the morning star is the end of the night, so too the Esther is the last of all the miracles. What about Chanukah? Chanukah happened after Purim. No, Chanukah didn't have to. Purim is the last of the miracles of the system of miracles of before the Achros Hayamim. Chanukah already is the initiation of the Achros Hayamim. That's why Chanukah is Gematria what? 89 in Makoilo is Sadi, the Ois 90, says the Bnei Yissaschar. Chanukah is the letter 90. Chanukah is the beginning of La'asad Lavai. So Rabbi said this week already we start to think about Chanukah haba aleinu l'toiva, asher hechazakticha mikatzos haaretz. Hashem says, I grabbed you from the end of the word aretz. The end of aretz is the tzadi. We're all hoping for the tzadi. May we be zoicha, b'mher v'yameinu. Amen. I'll tell you something else after. You can turn off.
Okay. You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.